Why are we doing this is because I think that Asian American films are basically synonymous with independent films. So the first part of the conference is like the first panel, which is sort of about development. So basically the creative and financial considerations for making an Asian American independent film.
To me, it feels like the studio world is, in general, kind of dead to any kind of original material. So independent is the way to go, whether it's Asian American or any other topic. If you want to do something original, that's sort of where you have to go now.
So one thing I've realized is movie business is really hard to make money. Like really, really hard, because it's, you know, what do you think is a realistic estimate of how much you can make? Maybe 20 or 30% off of your investment, but your chance of getting 0% back is very, very high, because you put that money in, it's no guarantee that the movie's ever going to get finished.
It's still the question on my mind, like what is an Asian American feature and what makes it viable. The Great Sea Project, I set out to make that film be about Asian American identity, and I found that actually in the really specific obsession that I had with that idea, it became sort of a universal project.
Your characters have to be really, really interesting and appeal to a wide audience, and think of it that way instead of, I want to write about this situation.
And I encourage anyone that may be directing a feature to look into joining the Guild. It's a great place to just be amongst some of the greatest minds in this industry, and you can be involved in seminars and panels and committees, and it's just all open to you if you're a member.
Like I kind of feel like Asian American cinema should continue to evolve, and in the 90s you had a lot of really kind of identity-oriented types of movies where, you know, being an Asian American, whether it was Korean American, Chinese American, whatever, had to deal integrally with the plot. But nowadays, you know, I see the next step of, you know, Asian American cinema being just having a good story where some of the characters, doesn't necessarily have to be all of them, some of the characters just happen to be Asian American.
We try to tend to look at things as how can we market this not only to our audiences but also to the mainstream, so that our community is considered part of the mainstream as well.
It's a fine line between trying to do something a little bit mainstream and a little bit more kind of accessible to people, but at the same time you really have to find that unique voice within you, because there's just a lot of work being produced.
Before you send your film to any festival, make sure you test it with an audience, so that way whatever you're going to send to any festival is exactly that film that you want them to judge it on, because you won't get a second chance. So sometimes they say, yeah, you can come back and submit it again, but they're going to know, and they're going to take a look at it, and they're going to say, well, you know, we've seen this movie. So please take the time.
I mean, I think there is something to say about simple, basic, beautifully planned out storytelling. So don't think that you always have to make the new, crazy new film, but put effort and thought into the stories.
My advice is to get real actors. You know what? No matter who looks at your film, what they're going to see is they're going to respond to a performance, and there's really no excuse for bad actors in this, even Asian American actors in this day and age.
Their egos, I mean, to be honest, I think it's a lot about ego. You just get kind of really caught up in like wanting to do it and not wanting to treat it as disciplined of a craft and a profession as it is. And if people rush to it and they just get obsessed with just raising enough money just to get it done, and that's not enough. It's not enough at all. And not only that, but whilst you're like taking that extra time to make your film as good as it can be and raising that money just to make it, I'm also going to raise a little extra, 10 to 20% extra, to handle the marketing at the festival, to handle your distribution, so that you're not just left wondering why someone else isn't making your dream come true.
You know, I once heard that filmmaking is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You know, the people who are going to succeed in it are the ones that are going to be doing it for a lifetime.